This is NBC Nightly News. Reporting from New York, Jessica Savage.
Good evening. The Reagan administration confirmed today that it has come up with a broader peace plan for the Middle East. And in addition, Washington appears confident it can gain acceptance of a plan to resolve the more immediate crisis, getting the PLO out of Beirut. Fred Francis reports now from the State Department.
Secretary George Shultz returned from his meeting with President Reagan, saying that an agreement to end the battle for Beirut should be nailed down by next week. Shultz and the president, as seen in this photograph released by the White House, have had 2 strategy sessions in 2 days to discuss what comes after Beirut. Saying that the Palestinian question was very much on the president's mind, the secretary confirmed that the two were formulating a broader plan for peace in the Middle East. While he would not go into the details of that new plan, it is known that the secretary will attempt to resurrect from the rubble of Beirut a new initiative to get the Palestinian autonomy talks back on track. Shultz talked about how the pictures of war called for an urgent solution.
We've all seen the pictures and been affected by it. And as the president has said many times, when you look at that and you see the symbol of this war is a baby with its arm shot off, and you have to say to yourself, there's got to be something better in the Middle East. And that's what the president is trying to get at.
Any new initiative to solve the Palestinian problem will first have to be made palatable to the Arab states and then the Israeli government. And as one State Department source said, the post-Lebanon policy will have to come to grips with a new reality, specifically that the United States no longer has significant influence to control the direction of the Israeli government. Fred Francis, NBC News, the State Department.
U.S. envoy Philip Habib left Beirut for Tel Aviv today. That an attempt to gain final Israeli approval of that compromise peace plan. In Beirut, the latest ceasefire appears now to be holding, although there were reports of some sporadic firing. Now, in spite of relative calm, many in West Beirut continue to suffer from past shelling, as Steve Delaney reports.
These kids were in trouble before the siege of West Beirut began. The retarded children's shelter in an old people's home near the Sabra refugee camp was also shelled repeatedly. And this was the first day the Red Cross could do anything to get them out. Nobel Peace Prize winner Mother Teresa came with the Red Cross to help move the helpless. Red Cross workers and the remnants of the hospital staff loaded them into ambulances, and Mother Teresa took one who was crying. The convoy went out through one of the few open passages from the rubble of West Beirut to Mother Teresa's convent in the east, where there is water and electricity and food and medicine, things that virtually do not exist on this side. Steve Delaney, NBC News, West Beirut.
And coming up, more tax talk in Washington next.
When Boeing sends sales teams worldwide, they're given Citicorp traveler's checks because who knows where they might end up.
Citicorp. Of course.
Accepted round the world.
Citicorp traveler's checks? Oh,
Refunds in thousands of locations.
Thank you. We got to get to the airport.
Have to catch a plane, sir?
No, sell one.
Sell one?
Because you never know where you might end up. Citicorp traveler's checks.
Now more people take Unisom than any other sleep aid. Millions have discovered that Unisom works. They fall asleep faster. Only Unisom has doxylamine. And in medical tests, Unisom helped people feel drowsy. So they fell asleep faster, significantly faster than they did without Unisom. And slept better all night. For occasional sleeplessness, more people trust Unisom. Take Unisom and fall asleep faster.
My one wish for the future, to feel young forever. Of course, to feel younger, you must also look it. So I use Oil of Olay, and I'll never stop. Oil of Olay enlivens my skin, helps it look fresh and smooth, so it feels very soft. And I can feel younger, whatever my age.
Discover the secret of Oil of Olay. It can help you look younger, so you'll feel younger, too.
Well, following an all-night session, House and Senate conferees did manage to talk about things like tax write-offs, health insurance premiums, and an increase in telephone excise taxes. But there were not just taxes to be considered. There were the lobbyists, too, as Lisa Myers now reports.
For 18 hours, it was a battle of special interests. General Electric slugging it out with steel, life insurance selling out on annuities. Virtually every special interest had someone, both in the audience and a friend on the committee. The Houston Chronicle had Archer of Texas.
It seems a tragedy to me that we would not permit these papers to continue to survive where they are owned by local foundations that are interested in the local communities.
I hope my colleague from Texas would understand that we have the same deep-seated feeling about B. Altman as you have about your Texas newspaper, and I'd like to get that covered too.
Rostenkowski of Illinois was holding out for special rules worth millions to United Airlines. Danforth of Missouri lost his bid to take care of McDonnell Douglas. The House also refused to grant special tax-exempt status to nuns working with lepers in Louisiana, but it agreed to let multinational corporations deduct bribes paid to foreign officials, known in the business as grease payments. Stark of California accused his colleagues of feathering a lot of special nests.
I've objected throughout the course of the conference to helping Marriott and other people who've been able to buy their way to the top.
It just seems to me that the big businesses and the bond people, the underwriters, some local officials, elected and otherwise, have got us on the run.
Dole of Kansas had the restaurant industry on the run. After the Senate voted to have the 3-martini lunch, restaurateurs decided they could accept Dole's original proposal to require reporting of tips to waiters and waitresses.
We're willing to live by this, and now I'll be able to go out and eat again.
But just when anyone here will have the opportunity or energy to go out and eat is an open question. Martin of North Carolina has been waiting for days to cut a deal for the tobacco industry to significantly reduce the Senate's 8 cents a pack increase in cigarette taxes. And that was but one of the big issues still to be resolved when the conferees reconvened this afternoon. Dole expects to finish the bill sometime tonight, or at least in time for church in the morning. Said one House conferee, with what we're putting in this bill, we all will need to do a little atoning. Lisa Myers, NBC News, at the Capitol.
Well, Senate and House negotiators, after that nearly 18-hour meeting, just about tackled the issue of that 3-martini lunch. But on major issues like unemployment benefits and business leasing provisions, the Tax Negotiating Committee didn't quite reach a decision. Meanwhile, the Reagan administration has stepped up pressure to get a tax increase passed. White House correspondent Andrea Mitchell reports.
In the West Wing of the White House, top Reagan aides held strategy sessions on the tax bill. A senior official said if the tax bill and spending cuts don't pass, the 1983 deficit will climb to $170 billion by the administration's count, $200 billion by congressional estimates. The official agreed that the president has exaggerated the actual spending cuts. There won't be $3 of spending cuts for every tax dollar raised, as the president has been saying. It will be more like $1.50 cut for every dollar raised. But the president used the higher figures only yesterday in a newspaper interview shortly before leaving for Camp David. He took with him a draft of the speech he'll give Monday night. In it, he warns, the single most important issue facing us is, do you reduce deficits and interest rates by raising revenue from those who are not now paying their fair share, or do you accept that alternative? Higher budget deficits, higher interest rates, and higher unemployment. The president will call it tax reform, not a tax increase. But whatever you call it, it's a big switch from what he was saying only a few months ago. Cabinet members left Washington today to persuade the rest of the country that the president has not changed his position.
Well, he's not flip-flopping on his original plan. This bill, when it's finally comes out of the conference and is passed by the Congress, will show that this is mostly tax reform and tax collection.
Officials here say the president is showing leadership, and if Congress doesn't follow, it will be more damaging to Congress than the presidency. But conservative critics say if the president loses, he will have lost control of the Republican Party. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the White House.
And coming up, a look at how President Reagan's popularity is affecting one Republican incumbent's battle for re-election. That next.
Digel tops planet acids. We proved it in recent laboratory tests. Cutting the yellow top off a Digel tablet illustrates the results. Without its top layer, Digel consumes as much heartburn-producing acid as plain acids like Rolaids. What's more, Digel has the yellow top and gives you the fast gas-calming action of simethicone. Conclusion: when you want more than plain relief, Digel tops plain acids.
The news from the Bell system: any business with 40 telephones to 25,000 can start with the Dimension PBX and build an integrated information system. New add-on functions let you combine voice and data, manage energy, centralize message handling, distribute communications benefits, and carry over much of what you have when there's a new generation of Bell business systems to install. Talk to your Bell account executive about it. The knowledge business.
Cut. Actor Lloyd Nolan for Super Polygrip.
Some Hollywood glamour. Tuna on a seeded roll. You know, it's murder when these seeds get under your dentures. Ouch! That's why I've used Super Polygrip for years. The extra holding formula makes a tight seal between dentures and gums. Helps keep food out, dentures in. So, a Hollywood lunch is easy to chew.
Super Polygrip helps keep food out, dentures in.
President Reagan's job rating, people's opinion of how he's doing in office, has dropped to its lowest point ever. That according to an NBC News Associated Press poll. In a nationwide survey last week, 37% of those polled gave Mr. Reagan a favorable job rating, contrasting with 63% a year ago. 38% gave Mr. Reagan a job rating of fair, and 24% gave the president a job rating of poor. Despite Mr. Reagan's drop in the ratings, he was still far ahead of the point where President Carter was at this time, this far into his term in office. At that time, Mr. Carter only had a 28% favorable rating. The NBC News Associated Press poll was based on telephone interviews with 1,594 adult Americans all across the country. Any disenchantment among voters with Reagan economics is, of course, good news for Democrats seeking election in office. In races around the country, Democrats will blame what they can on Mr. Reagan, of course. Republicans will refute those charges. Ken Bodie looks at one such race in Massachusetts.
Congressman Barney Frank, freshman Democrat, voted down the line against Ronald Reagan's economic program. Congresswoman Margaret Heckler, 8-term Republican. She backed the president on all the big tax and budget votes last year. These two incumbents are thrown together by redistricting. Democratic strategy in this off year is to blame Reagan for the recession and hold those Republicans who supported him responsible. Republicans claim they inherited the economic mess from Jimmy Carter and that voters really don't expect things to turn around overnight. Well, for the first time, our NBC Associated Press poll shows voters are running out of patience. Exactly half of those polled last week say the president's program is a failure. 31% say it's a success. The rest don't know or say it's too soon to tell. 61% say the economy has gotten worse over the last year, and 2/3 of those say that's because of the Reagan program. This is a field hearing of the Select Committee on Aging. Barney Frank called the hearing. Margaret Heckler persuaded another Republican to resign so she could be appointed.
And I'm also glad to welcome our newest member of the Committee on Aging, my colleague, Mrs. Heckler, who was appointed to the committee last night. So we have the junior member of the Aging Committee.
Heckler is somewhat defensive about her support for Ronald Reagan these days. Here she was even quoting Tip O'Neill.
Speaker of the House, Thomas P. O'Neill, pleaded for approval of the measure.
Heckler says she still hopes the voters will blame Carter and the Democrats for the recession, but for now she's stressing her independence.
And even in the votes in this very single session in which Mr. Reagan has been the president, I have had very significant differences.
She voted to cut taxes to the oil companies. I voted no. She voted to make savage cuts in student loans. I voted no. Then she voted for the MX missile and for that military buildup, and I voted no. She's not following the president absolutely the way she did last year. She's only there when he really needs her this year.
Barney Frank, he tells voters the Reagan program's a failure and Republican Heckler should be held responsible. Margaret Heckler, well, she's putting some political distance between herself and her president. Two incumbents, a Democrat determined to make this election a referendum on the Reagan Economic Recovery Program, and a Republican who fears the voters may be running out of patience with that program. Ken Bodie, NBC News, Newton, Massachusetts.
Thruston Morton, former U.S. Senator, former Congressman, died today after a lengthy illness in his native Kentucky. Morton was a former head of the Republican National Committee and served as Assistant Secretary of State during the Eisenhower administration. Thruston Morton, dead at 74.
You're about to see one of the most versatile cars in the world, Chevy Citation. It's a four-cylinder fuel-injected compact when it comes to the corner gas station. It's a mid-size when it comes to the family reunion. It's a wagon when it comes to the seashore. And when it comes to the road, it's a performer that's outsold every other front-wheel drive over the past 3 years.
During Chevy's factory-authorized clearance, special allowances to dealers make possible savings of hundreds of dollars.
The Hilton's right across the street.
Let's meet back at the Hilton at 8.
Meet you at the Hilton at half. I'm over at the Hilton. Come over.
5 minutes to get to the Hilton.
I'm at the Hilton.
Let's walk over to the Hilton. I'll meet you later at the Hilton.
You know, the Hilton's got the best steak in town.
See you at the Hilton.
And you can reach me at the Hilton. Just call me at the Hilton, and we'll get down to your business right away.
When American business hits the road, American business stops at Hilton. America's business address.
Arthritis pain sufferers. Do you know millions of you can take aspirin, even if your stomach is aspirin sensitive, because there's Ecotrin. Look, Ecotrin is not the aspirin substitute. It's aspirin, but Ecotrin helps protect you from aspirin stomach upset with this orange safety coating. Now you can take what doctors recommend most for minor pain, aspirin, but without all aspirin stomach upset. Ecotrin, it's strong. It's orange.
An arsonist set fire to a synagogue in Paris today. It was the 5th anti-Jewish attack there this week. No one was hurt in today's incident. Phil Bremen reports from Paris.
Paris police said someone forced open the front door and set fire to the small Jewish chapel at 2 o'clock this morning. No one was injured. Nearby, police found a hand-drawn swastika. On this Jewish Sabbath, entry to one synagogue was through a locked gate. At another temple marred by anti-Jewish graffiti, police guarded outside. Inside, members of the congregation searched their fellow worshipers for weapons. Rabbi Michael Williams.
Even if the government, whatever government of right or left, or the media do not intend to create a climate favorable to anti-Semitic outrages, the fact remains that a certain climate is created.
Jewish leaders tend not to blame President Mitterrand.
We know that François Mitterrand is a true friend of Israel and a true friend of our community.
But Mitterrand has confused many French Jews by his avowed even-handedness toward Israel and the Palestinians. Phil Bremen, NBC News, Paris.
In Poland, military authorities said today martial law will not be lifted while there's still opposition to the government. Yesterday, police fired tear gas to break up a crowd of thousands of demonstrators in Gdansk. Today, the crowd was back, but for a solemn purpose, as John Cochran reports.
In Gdansk, Lech Wałęsa's friends and followers celebrated a special mass for him. The purpose was to show the military authorities that although Wałęsa may be gone from public view, he is hardly forgotten. Wałęsa's wife, Danuta, has complained that his health has deteriorated while he's under house arrest in a remote corner of Poland near the Soviet border. Wałęsa's priest, Henryk Jankowski, says the authorities have agreed to move the Solidarity leader soon to a location closer to his family. Outside the Gdansk shipyard where Solidarity was born, people gathered at the memorial to workers killed in protests 12 years ago. It was on this spot that thousands assembled yesterday shouting down with martial law. The police responded with tear gas and water cannon. Today, police contented themselves with checking identity cards of Poles and foreign journalists. In Warsaw this morning, there was no sign of a cross which Catholics had built in Victory Square. Police had removed the cross during the night after dispersing Solidarity supporters. But by late afternoon, the faithful were back, and so was their cross, which has become a symbol of both loyalty to the church and passive resistance to martial law. Young newlyweds came to pray not just for their future, but for the future of their country. In southern Poland, 60,000 pilgrims completed an 8-day march from Warsaw to the shrine of the Black Madonna. Until recently, the pilgrims had expected that the Polish Pope, John Paul, would be here to welcome them. The Pope was forced to postpone his visit when the communist authorities said he would not be welcome until next year. But the Pope's absence did not stop young Poles from going ahead with the song they had planned for him. The Polish version of He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. John Cochran, NBC News, Warsaw.
In Southampton, England, there was something to celebrate. The luxury liner, the QE2, the Queen Elizabeth II, left today on its first voyage since returning from service as a British troop ship in the Falklands conflict. Thousands of well-wishers saw the freshly painted ship, just refurbished for $12 million. The crowd sang and waved as the QE2 steamed out of the harbor, bound for France, and on to New York. You know, there have been theories that dolphins are smart and almost human in their capacity to care. For 11-year-old Nick Christides, that is not a theory, it is a fact. 11-year-old Nick spent 4 hours struggling in shark-infested waters off Australia after falling from a surfboard and then being swept out to sea. Well, today, Nick Christides revealed that a dolphin appeared at his side almost immediately, stayed right with him, or swam around him in circles whenever sharks appeared. And then when human help arrived, the dolphin vanished into the water's depths. Without that dolphin, said Nick's father, we may never have seen our boy alive again.
Roger Staubach for Rolaids.
How do you spell relief?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S. I hate to admit it, but I eat a lot of greasy foods.
For acid indigestion, I spell it R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Rolaids really does spell relief.
Like a sponge, Rolaids antacid medicine consumes 100% of the acid required to give millions 100% relief.
For millions of Americans, Rolaids spells 100% relief. Enter the Rolaids Relief Man sweepstakes. Entry blanks at your local store.
Mr. Columbus, traveling far?
To the New World!
Loaded with gold, huh?
Too risky. We carry Bank America traveler's checks. World money.
Bank America traveler's checks?
Bank America. In leading world currencies, accepted in over 160 countries.
And if they're lost?
Lost? Never say lost. Besides, they're refundable in 40,000 places around the world. It is round, you know.
Bank America traveler's checks.
This Heart's flea and tick killing collar does more than stop fleas and ticks. It can help stop a car. The Heart's 2-in-1 Plus nighttime safety reflecting collar. The first flea and tick collar made to reflect oncoming headlights so your pet can be seen at night even 400 feet away. 5 months around the clock flea and tick protection plus nighttime safety from cars. The Heart's 2-in-1 Plus reflecting collar. Now the famous Heart's flea and tick killer can be a lifesaver too.
And so, as they say in the biz, you want to be a star. Each year, thousands of people move to New York City hoping to be discovered, dreaming of becoming stars. But it takes more than a dream. One of the first steps along the rocky road to fame is the recording of a demonstration tape. But that could cost thousands of dollars, unless, of course, you go to a small studio, a recording studio, on New York's Upper West Side.
Here comes the track.
Michelle Perry, a 16-year-old high school junior from Scarsdale, New York. She's just one of the many people who walk into this New York recording studio, pay $99, and walk out with the tape of themselves singing with full orchestration. Eddie Chalpin owns the studio. For 20 years, he used background music tapes to make foreign language copies of popular songs. But then he got the idea of using the same tapes and selling cheap recording time.
Okay, take these phones, put them on your head, and use preferably one ear and cover the other behind you. You're going to hear the music coming. The only thing missing is going to be the voice you're used to hearing on the record. You're going to hear instead your voice. I maintain anybody can walk out of here with a tape that would sound as equal to almost any professional out there. There are a few that no matter how you try, maybe 5%, no matter how you try, they will never have the inhibition enough to sing.
Chopin says about half of his $99 fee for these sessions is pure profit. This is how it's done. Someone like roller rink owner Lou Colicchio comes into the studio. He sings.
And my heart will be in it for all.
And the technicians provide the rest. Musicians, echo chamber.
This may only be a dream. We come and go, like the ripples on a stream.
I think I was just curious as to how I sounded. Great admirer of Frank Sinatra. And in fact, when I sing in the shower, I sing mostly Sinatra songs.
I guess I still hope I could be a star. Perhaps it'll happen.
I want it really badly. I know a lot of people say that they want stardom, but I really want stardom. I've had stars in my eyes since I was 3.
So when they say to you, do you want to be a star, maybe you better think it over. That's our report tonight. Bob Jameson will be here tomorrow. I'm Jessica Savage in New York. Thank you, and good night from all of us here at NBC News.
Tomorrow, Senator Bob Dole, Republican of Kansas, will be the guest on Meet the Press. Senator Dole is the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee.
You probably think the brightest, freshest new comedy of the season will be on ABC. CBS? The brightest, freshest new comedy of the season is called Cheers, and it's coming to NBC. That's right. NBC. That's right.
Even a drowning victim still has a chance. I know. I saved a life with CPR.
CPR. Spend a few hours, learn it for life.